this is a serious issue. We have an increase in the number of people who are entering homelessness, and we have a reduction in the funding from the federal government and other areas. So things are getting squeezed, and people kind of forget about, a good crisis, right? We had 1,000 people sleeping on the streets downtown Phoenix, an area called the Zone, an area that we call the neighborhood. And it was in the news every day, and people remember, and there's that attention to it, and people get outraged by that, and they do something about it. Now things are kind of quiet, everybody's backed off, and we're hunkered down trying to figure out how to raise funds that have been dried up or threatened to dry up. And we just felt like we needed to do something to get out on the street. And it's interesting preparing for this, Chris. I don't know how it struck you, but we see in our neighborhood, in our community, and in fact across the country, the largest ever first-time homeless senior citizen population. Property values are up, rents are up. People moved here to Phoenix, Arizona from the Midwest, from the West Coast. They paid $800 to $1,000 for an apartment. That apartment is now $1,500, $2,000, $2,500. And so we're seeing the largest ever first-time homeless senior citizen population. Now, as a senior citizen, as I'm preparing for coming out here tonight, I had to consider things like my hearing aids are going to stop working halfway through the night. If you can't hear, it's really it becomes a serious impediment. And they talk about old people who lose hearing ending up with dementia. Well, the dementia comes from you can't hear, and so you just withdraw from the conversation. And if I'm on the street and I have hearing aids that don't work because I don't have any place to hook them up,
you're toast.
Yeah, absolutely. So
you're toast.
We've got to get people off the street.
I love it.
Yeah.
So we're waiting. We're going to continue to let people come on. Listen, those of you that are watching on Facebook Live, we'd like to connect with the residents of Phoenix. We'd like to connect with the community.
And Mesa,
the Phoenix Valley of the Sun. Let's call it the Valley of the Sun. We're including everyone, even beyond that, in Arizona, and if you're in Nevada or California, wherever you're at. But we'd like to connect with you. We want you to ask us questions. We're going to have several people on here tonight. Rick is the executive director for Homeless ID Project. We have had a great relationship for several years, since 2018 when I joined the board. Rick, you want to, I've got some questions. I know you and I spend a lot of time together.
We do. Yes.
So first of all, tell the people a little bit about you, where you come from, how you got here.
Well, how I got here is I spent my career in the for-profit world. And about 14 years ago, a friend of my wife asked her if she would come down to downtown Phoenix and help volunteer in this organization called the Ecumenical Chaplaincy for the Homeless. So she did that, and I asked her about it. It's 14 years ago I asked her about it, and she said, we get IDs for people. What do you mean you get IDs for people? Well, people come in, and if they're homeless, they've lost their stuff, or they're going to lose their stuff, or if people fleeing domestic violence situations or aging out of foster care, whatever. So people would come to the campus, and the Ecumenical Chaplaincy for the Homeless would help them get a new ID. And sometimes you got to get a birth certificate to get the ID. Now that didn't make sense to me at first, because who doesn't have an ID? It's just not the kind of thing that you think about. So I got interested, learned a little bit about it, and ended up joining the board of directors. And I was on the board of directors of the Homeless ID Project for about 3 years, and then we had a vacancy in this spot, so I took the spot as the executive director of the Homeless ID Project. I've been in this spot for about 8 years now, and we have grown during that period of time. In 2014, we changed the name from the Ecumenical Chaplaincy for the Homeless to the Homeless ID Project, and pre-pandemic we were doing about 7,500 documents a year. In 2023, we did 15,600 documents. Last year we did
over
about
15,000 documents.
Yeah. And this year we're going to be right back at 15 or 16,000 documents, and the volume is up. And look, the volume is not up because of anything other than the fact that we have found additional ways to do more documents. And if we get more funding, we'll do more documents. There are people who need our help that aren't getting our help. And without an ID, one of our clients famously said, the only thing you can get without an ID is arrested. And that's not exactly accurate, but it's a clever line and it's pretty close.
That's true, and I say that a lot too. It's actually true. That is the only thing you can actually get. And I was introduced actually to the Homeless ID Project in 2009. totally on accident. I brought some clothes down to campus to donate, and I was blown away by what I saw, and it was something I couldn't turn my back on. And I guess you could say the rest is history. I've discovered a lot along the way. I'll talk about some of that tonight. But anyhow, folks, this is an opportunity. We're going to be out here as long as we've got some viewers here and we've got people to talk to. If you're watching this, I'm asking you to share this on your social media platform. Invite others to come. If you've got some questions, we'd certainly love to have you ask those questions. Carrie Masters with St. Joseph the Worker is going to be on here in just a little bit. She's the executive director there. They place, about 10,000 people in jobs every year, roughly. A lot of jobs for people that are trying to get off the street. We exist inside of a community of nonprofit organizations that solely exist to serve the homeless community, to help the people end their homelessness. We're not serving them to stay homeless. We want to serve them and give them the tools that they need to end their homelessness and get on with their life. I know, we all have stories about what it is to be homeless. They're all different, and they're all just came from whatever they came from in your life. I know I've had my own stories for most of my life. Being involved in this space, those stories that I had were I realized they were myths. They were dispelled. Everybody has a different story.
Yeah.
Nobody wants to be homeless.
I think that's a good place to start, Chris. You talk about the myth. And, I've been around this work, as I just said a few minutes ago, for about 14 years now. But if you snuck up behind me and said, homeless person, I get a picture in my head of an old gray-haired guy, and he's sitting on a curl.
Kind of like me?
Well,
no.
Maybe a little more scruffy than you. And that guy probably is homeless. He's probably one of the 15% that are chronically homeless. 75% of the people who are homeless today will not be homeless a year from now because they found the services they need to end their homelessness. And we want to end all of homelessness, but the quicker we get the temporarily homeless off the street and back to work, the greater the chances that people won't continue to stay homeless. So it's just one of those things that time is of the essence, and obviously chronically homeless people have been out there longer, but man, it's tough. When somebody's been out on the street for 2 or 3 years, it's really tough to come back from that.
That is a tough thing, and it's all possible as well.
Yes,
it's all possible. So, Rick, tell us what surprised you most since your involvement in Homeless ID Project.
What surprised me the most? That's there've been a lot of surprises. I really think the thing that surprised me the most is my reaction to all of this. And the only thing I can attribute it to is we Homo sapiens have a helping gene, and that's why Homo sapiens are at the the top of the food chain, because we're able to build community, and we want to and need to help each other to build that community. I really didn't know anything about that, and getting into this position and being able to help so many people, and I really just I'm doing it on the fundraising and the publicity side, not so much direct one-on-one contact with our clients, but the amount of fulfillment that we get from that. And I think if it's true that everybody has that helping gene, and I believe that it is, and we're getting off the freeway and we see the guy with the sign, and that's our vision of homelessness, and we say, what can I possibly do about that? Then that whole helping thing is frustrating.